Hello, good afternoon. Hello, Hank. Hi, Alex.
Hi, I can hear you, Maher.
Hello.
Hey, Maher.
So let's jump straight in. Thank you, everybody who's joining us today. It's an honor and a pleasure to be speaking with you all. We're going to keep today's agenda short and tight. We'll try to keep it under the 30-minute mark. We have the ability to ask questions at the end, so we'll leave some time for Q&A. And you can even drop some comments in the streaming section if you wanted to, and we can answer those also in the end, or some questions. Yeah. So the agenda for today will be, again, short. And what we were going to be doing is I'll give the mic over to Hank. Hank is representing Gulf Consulting, which is our strategic partner with EverWorker. Hank will walk us through a couple of slides. Then I will walk you guys through what is EverWorker doing today, how we can accelerate your business using an agentic AI workforce. And then we'll hand over to Alex, who will walk us through a demo of our platform and agent in motion. And then we'll wrap up with Q&A. So thank you so much. And I will hand over to Hank now.
Okay. I'll have to share the screen. And I'll have one little challenge is that I don't see. So you can see my screen now, right?
Yeah, you can go ahead. You're good.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to see the presentation interface, but that disappeared on me. So what I would like to start as an introduction, in very short introduction, is how we came to be so interested working with EverWorker, and that is the evolution that we see in the market today. Everybody's been involved already in AI in some form or shape, and it seems to take off much quicker than we thought it would be, and that's why it's important to look at the key effect areas in your marketplace. I looked at 4 markets that are on the top of seeing a transformation. The first one is the healthcare market. This is a market where innovation is nothing new. Obviously, the market has already seen a lot of innovative technologies being integrated, but with AI added, there are some significant outcomes that would improve everybody's life, and hopefully we use it as little as necessary, but if we do, it's a great value for all of us. The second market is the transportation market. We've all seen the effect of electrification in cars, but it obviously goes a lot further. We expected that self-driving would take place already 5 years ago, but it is an evolution. It's not a revolution. These things take time, but you need to be ready for it. The third market, which is a huge market that you might not be involved in, but it's the education market, and it also counts for upskilling your own staff or yourself. With AI, education is becoming a totally different engine. It becomes personal, it becomes location unaware, and it crosses all boundaries. It makes very high-level education available at a very low cost. We definitely will see the effects of that. And the last one, which is applicable for our meeting today, is the workforce effects of it. What we've seen in 10 years' time is the AI effect and AI adoption rate will be 60% for healthcare, most notably in diagnostics and personal medicine. I'm not going to go too far into that. We can talk about it another time, but everybody knows what it could be. Autonomous vehicles, we think it will not go as far as we thought earlier, but level 4 driving will definitely become available. We do think that AI assistance with driver keeping the hands on the steering wheel will be an 80% feature on all cars and buses and trucks. Education market, so 35% adoption. That has more to do with the distribution of this technology on a global scale. The Western world will definitely be affected much faster, but it takes time to get it embedded. And we're talking about personalized learning platforms. And if you look at EverWorker's rich set of trainings. It's already an AI-driven content. You can see the latest developments there, and I would invite you to start exploring that and using it. Workforce AI is 50%. So that is task automation, which is on the beginning side of AI, and I know Maher is talking about that a bit further. The big one is business process integration. Large enterprises, before 2035, 80% will have integrated that into their workforce and their roles and skills. Now, obviously, you need to be ready to know what to do with it. These are personal suggestions. First, of course, we can't stop progress, and that's why it's an important time to sit down and listen for half an hour of what the technology can do. But you need to invest time and train yourself. It does take time, new technologies, new vocabulary, but this is going to be a very important change in anybody's life, and it's worth spending time and experimenting a bit with it. The second thing is, if you run a business or own a business or you advise businesses, find ways to analyze business processes and spot the areas where this can be implemented. It's not about getting AI into everything. It's about finding the processes where this really creates value. A culture of adaptability, again, whole story by itself, but obviously it will create change. People will have to upskill. There's talk about jobs being lost, but also totally new jobs being created. There's no consensus of what it will do on a global level, but we will have to adapt, and all of us need to do that. Now, hot areas where you see the quickest uptake is in content creation. I saw an article in the Economic Times that the influencers are going to be AIs in the next year. Nobody will listen to them anymore. It's already impersonal, but it becomes a tool that will be used to drive marketing content. It will become more specific, more tailored, but that's an area you can invest in and see how that affects your business and if it's worth creating an agent model for it. The other thing, of course, is your sales force. If you've been running a sales force, everybody always complains to do the administration, and this could be automated, and you can let the sales force stay in the field as long as possible. These are immediate benefits that result in higher outcomes. Customer satisfaction is another area. If you start to use automation, you could have a 24 hours availability of a humanoid or a bot. The return time on questions is much faster. The overall result is that 60% of your clients and customers are much more impressed with a fast answer than waiting for the best answer. That is unfortunately the way the world works, but fast returns are much more appreciated. And this is what AI can do, and we'll demonstrate it in this presentation. So customer satisfaction could be a target for your company. You want to increase it, double it, look in what Agentic AI can do. And don't just look at this should be survive, not survive, so typo there. I did not use AI to create a slide, but it's about thriving, using the technology to improve your business. These are great opportunities. We're at the starting point. You are heading your competition. Just invest time in training, find areas where it can be implemented, try out the beautiful tools in EverWorker, make an account and test it, and I hope you'll enjoy it. Okay, I hand over to Maher.
Excellent. Great, thank you, Hank. Yeah, thank you, Hank, so much. And yeah, for the audience in the room today, so Gulf Consulting has been a strategic partner for us and is helping with a lot of the heavy lifting, a lot of the services wrapped around our projects. Yeah, we really value your partnership. So thank you, Hank. So for today, I'll just walk you guys a little bit around what we do as an organization, kind of the vision of our platform, and how we can start actually delivering AI workers and AI agents today. So we help you do more with more. And as an organization, we're a well-founded company. We're built by industry veterans coming with tens and tens of years of AI experience and just software experience across all different types of companies, from small organizations up to medium-sized organizations to some of the largest companies in the world. We have offices all over the world, and our team is dispersed. And we are actually currently 52 people, but we operate like 200. Why I say that is we have an AI first strategy. So our output is significantly higher with less headcount than most organizations because we use AI in everything that we do. So we can help you achieve that goal and help you, leverage the power of AI through agentic AI. Now, if you look at the industry has been moving very fast, and your next employee of the month will be an AI worker. What we mean by that is, if you look at studies by Forrester, by Gartner, all these third-party companies, every large organization or even small to medium organization is implementing some form of generative AI into how they conduct business. There are studies showing that in the next 1 to 2 years, up to 30% of knowledge work will be assisted by AI. That's that's the very near future. And we will help you realize that with the power of our platform. Now, if you take a step back and look at, what has been the evolution of AI over the last couple of years, I would say the first step is a lot of us have had some experience with AI chat assistants. Those are the chat GPTs of this world or the Geminis, right? They're excellent for productivity. They're excellent for maybe day-to-day use. And they help you do things, right? You ask it a question, it comes back with some form of an answer. The issue with that is that it's maybe good for personal usage, and it's extremely bi-directional. You ask it to do something, it comes back with an answer, and that is it, right? Very good. But if you want to look at what can we do to help you serve your business, what can we do to help you to be more efficient and more effective in how you do work, then we start looking at something that's called an AI agent. An AI agent is a prepackaged prompt that is a simple workflow and that is highly repetitive. So if you were to look into your organization today, something that is mundane or requires a lot of manual input, those are no-brainers. Those are AI agents that we can help you build to realize and to see effective benefits from applying AI to your day-to-day work. Now, the really exciting stuff is what the industry is calling workers and AI workers. And that's looking at highly complex workflows that deliver some form of reasoning, almost mimicking the behavior of a human, where there is thought process, there's ingestion to what you're doing, but actually going out there and actuating, actually going into a live system, activating a workflow, or doing something today that a human would do. Now, if you were to break down the constructs of what an AI worker is, it has the ability to do a couple of things. The first element, and if you look here on the left of the screen, that is the ability to analyze. So it can look into a live system, an ERP, a CRM, a website, Excel sheet, analyze that information, and then actually extrapolate it. When it extrapolates it, it understands it, it starts to summarize it, and then it takes it up against a decision tree. That decision tree is the brain, and that mechanism is powered by the large language models, or the LLMs, that helps decide what it's supposed to do next, right? How does it go against a decision tree to go out there and actually execute or actuate, right? What we mean by that is click, write, activate a workflow, post, literally do what you would do today in a day-to-day job. And then the final element and the really exciting stuff is your workers or your AI agents will continuously be learning and adapting. Where it is today will be very different than where it is in 3 months, 6 months, or 1 year down the line, because there will be historical learning that will continuously improve over time and make sure that it's highly effective and is delivering the job that it's supposed to do. Now, if you were to break down the constructs of what is an AI worker and what is an AI agent, there are two main kind of things you have to think of, right? You have to give it some instructions. So that is, again, giving it some guidance, some prompting, describing that task. In our platform, it is all natural language. It's super easy to use. So you give it the prompt, you give it the package of what it's supposed to do. But then also you can feed in the worker some knowledge. That's contextual data, that is potentially historian data, and that is fed through the RAG. The RAG is the retrieval augmented memory that helps it be smarter and give it that knowledge. Once you feed them that two kind of main constructs, it is sourced through the LLM or the large language model. We support all of the ones out of the box plus private endpoints, and I'll have a slide about that. And then when it goes into the LLM, it actually does all the thinking, the decision making, and goes out and actuates those skills, right? Either generates material, give an output, complete a task. And I'll give you some examples of what I mean by that. Now, AI is obviously huge, right? And the path to it is not very clear. So if you look at the third-party studies again, so many projects have failed over the last couple of years. Many people have invested into technologies, but didn't really get the outcome that they want. They had to go and look for specialized skills. They had to invest in highly complex and very costly infrastructure. And then they didn't really know where to start. What are some of the use cases I could use? What is the business value I could deliver? No one really knew what to do. So the solution to that is EverWorker, right? So we are a no engineering, low code, no code type of platform that is geared to business. Business users can use it. You don't have to go and invest in fancy fancy AI engineers or prompt engineering. You don't have to invest into people who are going to code. It is all out of the box from our platform and is geared towards business users. It's also enterprise built, and we have all the expertise in-house to help you get up and running to if you have mission critical type of business or need some help. So we have an advisory team. We also have a training and education team to help you realize your ROI and actually get value from your agents and your workers today. That also segues into we are also super easy to use. And if you were to look into the market today, there are some people out there saying they can build an agent for you, right? But those platforms are highly complex to use. Plus, they're heavily dependent on an ecosystem of technologies that you have to invest in. You have to look at, looking at potentially buying an agent platform, but then connecting it to a RAG memory, connecting it to an ETL, doing some software coding behind it, building a UI, connecting it to a database or building a database that serves into it. With EverWorker, the only thing you have to worry about is your actual AI worker and what the outcome is. What is the outcome that you're trying to achieve? All of it is out of the box. There's no hidden costs, and you don't have to go and invest into building a snowflake that will be very hard to manage and potentially even more expensive down the line. And if you were to look at the architecture of what we do, so again, we can work with anything that lives in your environment, and anything that specifically has an API. So we have a API node or universal API node, as we call it, that allows you to ingest any type of tool or any type of data source you pointed at through our knowledge engine and through the EverWorker knowledge engine. So in your own environment, you will have productivity tools, you might have an ERP system, you might have a CRM. If there is an API, then we can work with it. And about 95% of applications today have APIs. So it's very, very easy for us to work with technically anything in your environment. If it doesn't have an API, we also have the ability to do something called the human browser mode, which allows you to access custom applications by moving and mimicking the movement of a mouse, even typing, even doing two-factor authentication. So there's literally nothing that you can't work with, and we're very happy to help you realize that. So once you're able to look at what is the source of information and what are the type of workflows you want to apply, you ingest that into the knowledge engine. We can build a GraphDB, we can build you a FactDB, and then that serves up into the different types of AI workers or agents that you're going to be building for your organization, serving the different lines of businesses. In regards to how we can be implemented, we have 3 different models. So we can be an on-premise solution if you have highly sensitive data or you are looking at data sovereignty laws, then we can be on-premise. If you want to be in your current country and are comfortable with using a virtual private cloud, then we can be hosted on a virtual private cloud in country. And then also, if you are a cloud customer, we have the ability to work with the cloud providers and be a single tenant SaaS. In regards to the LLMs that we serve all of the big names out of the box. plus the endpoints. The images you see here are just some of the big names. We actually serve a lot more. And if you have your own LLM, you could also point EverWorker to that LLM and leverage it. In regards to compliance and security, we're ISO certified, we're GDPR certified, and we have SOC 2 certification also. Now, if you look at different use cases, there are tons, and it's hard to do this justice by just naming a few, because technically every person has their own unique use cases. But if you look internally in your organization, you might likely have a finance department, you might have an HR department, you might have a sales and marketing department, and there are some that are no-brainers, right? So if I just pick on finance, for instance, invoice acceptance, budget management, audit and compliance, procurement analysis, looking at expenses. Those are very simple AI use cases that you can leverage today just with our platform. I'm not going to talk through all of these, but we're happy to have a conversation after this event. If you're interested in a specific use case, then we can hone in on it. But these are, again, just some ideas around what we could potentially do. And then finally, this is my last slide. A lot of what we're trying to do is help you increase productivity, but also help you increase revenue and EBITDA, right? So there are some studies done around, if you look at an organization today, traditionally, if you were to look at a revenue, let's say a sales organization, a revenue per employee traditionally is around 250K to 500K. But if you were to look at an AI first approach, you can boost that productivity by 6 to 7x. So per employee could now go from 500K up to 3 million if they're using AI tools, letting them respond to RFPs quicker, letting them ingest information faster, being able to build customer support agents. So it's really, really exciting on leveraging AI. If you look at marketing, for instance, the output of a marketing department can be 6x because content creation is so much quicker. Building blogs is so much faster. There's so many easy things that we can help you today to boost that productivity and that output. And then finally, AI doesn't take weekends, get sick, or quit after we've trained, right? So if you have a problem with churn and high turnover, your AI workers and AI agents are highly trained, very intelligent support system in your organization, and they don't take time off. So I'm going to stop here. Thank you so much. We would love to talk to you more. So I'm going to hand over now to Alex, and he's going to walk you through a sales agent and sales support agent that we've built. And then we'll leave some space for some Q&A at the end.
Thank you, Maher. I will now start by sharing my screen. However, before that, can you hear me all right? Thank you. So I will go ahead, share my screen. Yes, I'm sure this is the screen. Good. Now you should be seeing my screen. What I will start with is a brief overview of the high-level architecture of the support agent I created. This is an agent I created in under an hour, and with testing and feedback, right, and troubleshooting, this took up to 2 or 3 hours. So that included finding the documentation for the necessary tools, creating the integrations, and then just creating this flow. This agent is something I would position somewhere between an agent and a worker from Maher's previous presentation, because it's not just executing the flow, it's also taking some decisions and leveraging tools at its disposal depending on the context, right? So it's a dynamic agent. While the next step would be the worker, as Maher described it. So in this agent, what we will see is that it will be able to fetch an email. And when I say fetch the email, it will retrieve it from the Microsoft 365 suite by using this email node I created myself, right? So this node was not part of the original platform. The way I created this node was to use the node designer, which creates nodes on the fly from documentation snippets or code requests, whatever you would use to leverage an API and learn how to use it, that information you can copy paste here and the platform will just figure it out. Then it will just create the appropriate connector, and you will have a node that's identical to the platform native nodes, and you'll be able to set properties with drag and drop connections, just like this one, authorization, URL, and so on. Then what we will see is that the agent will derive a resolution from the email content, and it will do that by leveraging Claude in this case. However, I can switch that to 04, 4.1, Llama, any sort of model you would like, and it will do that by natural language. So by having the system prompt, right, we can tell it to derive the intent. In this case, it could be a user not being able to log in or not having a certificate issued for them, since I had a learning management system in mind for this demo, right? And while doing that, it will derive an intent, which is going to be handled by one of its tools. And this tool will have access to the database it has. So we created the synthetic database and mocked that. We mocked the connection to the database, where we can see realistic emails, realistic course IDs, in this case without a valid certification, and we will see that working in a minute, right? And this intent handler will tap into the mocked database connection, so the synthetic database data, and based on the resolution derived by the LLM, we had a very thin layer of JavaScript inserted that can analyze the available data and see what actions can be taken. If there is a login issue, we can check if that customer exists to begin with. If there is no customer, we escalate that. If not, we can take some further action. If there is no certificate, we should check whether the course was completed for that customer. If it was, then we can just go ahead and reissue the certificate, right? So all of these can be leveraged on the fly. While for the sake of the demo, we just have a very thin JavaScript layer, but all of this will get simplified and improved in the worker stage, right? So in the worker stage, all of this will be created on the fly, depending on the use case, just by natural language. And then once the intent is handled, the agent will go ahead and generate the final answer for the user, right? So we are setting the persona, we are telling it not to be technical, to be very human-friendly and natural. And finally, this agent will create drafts, because we don't want to reply straight away to the user, especially when there is an escalation. But even if there is no escalation, we may want, for the sake of the pilot, to review that first. However, what we see after the pilot, once the success rate is getting higher and higher, we are starting to let more and more we start to let the agent go more and more autonomous and only sample some cases to review. And it's also adding some dedicated working session for me in the calendar, right, to have time to review those drafts. And without further ado, I will just go ahead and test this as well. So I will send an email to myself, and I set my email to be monitored by the agent. Okay, Outlook close. Come on. Right. Okay, so I will send an email to myself. I have the email contents ready. So I'm complaining about enrolling in a course. I give the course ID. Right. Yes. Thank you for letting me know we have a webinar. Right. So I'm complaining about the course. I have the course ID, but I have no certificate. And I'm also telling the email my account is registered for, which is different than the email address I'm sending this from. But the agent is smart enough to tell those apart. So now I'll immediately get that in my inbox, of course. And what the agent will do will be to go ahead and create a draft based on the actions it may have taken or based on the needed escalation. However, in that draft, I will see the full context. I will see a summary of this interaction plus previous interactions in case there was a follow-up, right? The customer may have come back after a few days, right? But the agent will put all of that information for me in the draft. So just by looking at it, I will see the entire state of the conversation at a glance. So while that's loading, um, hmm. Well, okay, that's surely taking a while. Perhaps Maher, while this is loading, anything else you would add to this?
So yeah, I mean, this is obviously just one use case, right? There's a lot of things that we're seeing in sales around follow-ups, around like building concierge service, so assisting people even when you're in meetings. So we have an agent that we built that is like a sidebar, and while you're in a meeting, it has the ability to help you with battle cards, with information about the people that you're visiting. And this is just one kind of line of business that we're looking at today with Alex's agent is sales. But again, there's so many different LOBs that we can approach. Yeah, sales has been one that we've seen a lot of interest. We also have a feature that we're working on in our soon to be released version, where it can even listen in on calls, so have the ability to stream in audio, and also assist you as you're having these meetings too. So like help you have better sales closure, and also better talking points and stuff like that. Even looking at building an ROI calculator as a meeting is progressing, depending on certain set of questions that you ask somebody. So there's some functions around that.
And talking about loading times, I just got a response. So let me share my screen again. All right, so going back, all right, what we can see is first the dedicated support request, right, with the subject of the email. What I did was to actually resend that. I think we have some updates going behind. So I resent the email with a new subject where, again, I complain about the course. I give it the specific course ID. I tell it the very email I have. And if we take a quick look at the data we have mocked here, we can see the very email and the very course ID without a certification. So let's see what the agent actually inferred from that and take a look at the graph, where we can see that the certificate has been reissued, right, and sent to the email address I mentioned in the email body. So not as sender. So the agent figured that one out, and picked the right email address to send this to. And now I can just review this now or leave it for later, since I have the dedicated the dedicated work time slot in my calendar. So this is how we created the customer support system in a matter of hours, including testing and prototype. Thank you.
Awesome, thank you. So thanks, Alex. I hope that was interesting for the attendees and the people joining our live stream today. So I see there's a couple of questions here in the room. One is, do you have any use cases for Gen AI apps in oil and gas? Yes. So again, you have to look at it like this, right? every industry now with AI is almost no longer, not about relevance, but technically any use case can be built. We have references and customers in the oil and gas and energy sectors that we're working with, and we're helping them achieve the AI use cases that they have. So dependent on what your need is, then 99% of the time, the answer is yes. I have yet to walk into a situation with an end user where we were not able to apply AI to their use case. So having very specific industry-driven use cases is almost no longer a thing anymore. It's more about kind of what do you want to achieve, what is the ecosystem of technologies you currently have, and then we make it happen. And then there's another question around, especially AI agents, recommendation systems for engineering drawings. Oh, okay. So out of the box, no. The short answer to that is no. There's nothing that's out of the box. But let's have a conversation, and we can have better understanding of what the current environment is. And yeah. So I will reach out separately on that. Any other questions or comments from the room? I think we're good. Great. So thank you so much, Alex. Thank you, Hank. Any closing comments from your side, Hank?
No, it was a concise meeting, 30 minutes. We just want to target the subject. It is obviously a much wider conversation once we start to talk to clients and assess their pain points and opportunities. That's what we're ready for. The technology can do it. Whether you need to do everything, that's always a question. Sometimes commercially not viable. Sometimes there are maybe lower cost ways to achieve the same. So we have to be very pragmatic there. But in essence, this is going to be a massive transformation, and we're just at the start of it. So please reach out to any of us. I'll be very happy to have private conversations of how that can affect your business or your client's business.
It's a good point, Hank. One of the nice things what we were able to do is take little bites and little chunks, right? You don't have to boil the ocean. A lot of the success we've seen with our clients, especially our early stage clients, is nominating a couple of use cases, right? Yeah. Choosing things that are, high impact, where you can see immediate results, but are highly repetitive and mundane, potentially cost a lot to run. Those are great AI workers or AI agents to nominate. And normally what we do is we go into some form of POC and pilot. I think we can do that together, Hank, from our previous experiences. So, we highly encourage for you to reach out to us. We're happy to assess kind of the need that you have or kind of the ideas that you have. And we wouldn't ask you to commit to, a large investment, right? Start off small, test it out, be confident in the technology. And then once you see all the benefits, it will just scale so fast and you start seeing all the different types of things that can serve different lines of businesses. But yeah, we're here to help. So please do reach out. I'm very active on LinkedIn, so you can connect with me on LinkedIn. And then also we'll be sharing some material after this and hope to see you guys soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Maher. Absolutely. Great. Thanks.
Thank you, Alex. Thanks. Have a good day.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.